to this
Hey Cody, I'm
computer.
Natasha. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
Natasha. Nice to meet you.
Do you say your last name Sivan or Sivan?
Savan.
Sivan. Got it.
Okay, cool. Well, we're just we'll thank you for joining us, by the way.
Of
This is
Yeah,
course.
this is
thank
gonna be
you.
fun. Yeah. We'll just kind of get right through it. And we're thinking like around 30 minutes. Yeah, and then we'll, get you on your way. I'm sure you're a busy guy, but Tosh, you wanna
Yeah.
lead us in?
Yeah. Okay. You probably played in a tournament. You've definitely complained about a tournament. I know I have. And you've likely wondered at some point who decided to schedule my match at 7 a.m. Well, today we're talking to one of the people responsible for making tournaments happen. Our guest, Cody Sivan, is the founder of Brickwall Pickleball Tournaments. Cody lives in the world of brackets, schedule, sponsors, players, weather delays. You're indoors, not outdoors, right? No weather
Primarily indoor.
delays
Good
and
move.
all of the chaos that comes with running a successful pickleball event. We're going to go behind the scenes to learn what it takes to pull off a great tournament, where the sport is heading, and what players can do to make every tournament experience better. Welcome to the Real Housewives of Pickleball, Cody Sivan.
Yay,
Thank you so much
Cody.
for having me.
Yay! Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I did a little digging, and to kick off our first question to you, Cody, it was on a write-up with you on Duper's website. You said that you went from college baseball players spending nights at homeless shelters and your days at plasma donation centers. How does someone with that background go from that to founding a pro pickleball series? If you can walk us through that journey, what was the turning point, or was it always part of the master plan or your master plan?
Yeah, so I think those were separate experiences with a lot of stops along the way, but I tried very hard to get into professional baseball. I traveled the country. I slept in my car. I stayed at homeless shelters. I donated plasma, and I worked very hard to make it a reality. And unfortunately, it just wasn't in the cards. But then I moved back home. I got really into pickleball. My dad introduced it to me, and eventually I landed a head pickleball pro job at a club in South Florida where I started teaching, started running a club, and started competing at the professional level. And I felt like a lot of my negative experiences in the world of baseball had kind of carried over in the wrong way. And so, there was the affordability issue, there was the lack of meritocracy. And so it was really frustrating for me because I felt like pickleball was this new utopia almost at the start, really, with,
Yeah.
it was completely open. Anybody, if you felt like you could compete at the pro level, you could just jump in and prove it. And the registration fees weren't outrageous. And so, coming out of that experience in baseball and then getting away from it for a little bit and then trying to make a run at professional pickleball and seeing 300 and change registration fees for a single event and the lack of meritocracy we talk about, now the PPA has these exclusive contract system that they've had for a couple of years now, and the APP is headed down this route. It's very frustrating to see, and it's not how I think professional sports should be. And so from the very beginning, Brickwall was founded with the experiences in mind influencing this current ideal of, can we build a better system? Can we build a system that actually thinks about the player every step of the way, that actually cares about the experience, about the opportunity, about, is this equal? Is this equitable? And so that's kind of how we ended up here.
Mm. Yeah, so your goal is really to be a direct competitor to APP and PPA, correct?
Yeah, I try not to think about, with whom are we competing. I try to think about what are we building. Obviously, the reality of what we want to build equates to competing with the PPA and the APP, but it also means competing with Pickleball Detroit in Vietnam and the CNPL and Top Series in Europe and the RTA. There's a lot of other organizations that, you know, granted, it's not what we're conscious about. We're just trying to build the best thing that we can build, but of course, that ends up meaning that puts us in competition with these organizations. Then so be it.
But I love that because you're taking all the things that you see about these two major organizations that, run a lot of big tournaments, the pro tournaments, and you're taking all the things that you hate about what happens there, and you're making the changes and brick wall. It's like you were saying, for instance, 8 a.m. start times. I
Yeah.
mean, it's ridiculous. Like you have to get up the crack of dawn and
Yeah.
right, if you're traveling from like you were using the example of a player from Connecticut traveling to Baltimore, they have to book a hotel the night before, and that's expensive, that's money. And so your idea is to take all of these things that don't work for a lot of players
Yeah.
with the PPA and the APP and make those changes with brick wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll throw another one in there. It's the Monday through Friday, pro
Mm,
events. Obviously, both tours have now moved into this progressive draw system,
mhm.
and I understand that they have their financial realities with trying to set themselves up for television and spacing out the event for sponsors. But at the end of the day, it's a system that further disenfranchises anybody who is working a real job, but even if they're a 6-0 player but they just can't make the financials work to step away from their job full time, they can't really, fundamentally they can't compete. And I think you've seen that with the success of not only Brickwall but the Challenger Tour, right? And the Challenger Series has grown in popularity because it's something that pro players can compete on the weekends. They don't have to take 5 days off of work to go down to Atlanta or over to Minnesota and be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday if they're going to make a run at the pro system. And so I think there's so many little things from the start times to the days that the events
Yeah,
are.
let's list them out. Like, what are the things that Brickwall does different? So, start times, no Monday through Friday type stuff. Like, list them out because,
Sure. I think it's a long list that I'm sure I'll forget. Just from the operation of the, or before we even get to the event, it's the start times when the
Mhm.
event. I think the cost is a huge factor. So
Yeah,
for a PPA, it's $320 to play a single event at a pro qualifier. It's $100 to play a brick wall. So you
Right.
get into that. Even from there, under the same umbrella, our registration system, we built everything through our site. So we don't use pickleball rackets, pickleball tournaments, which of course is owned by the same holding company that owns the PPA, and they add crazy fees to the players, and every tournament organizer passes them on to the players. We don't, which is why we built our own system. And so
Mm,
that keeps it that 100 from being 100 and not into 118 because of the $5 this fee and the $10.
right,
Also, I
right.
think overall the experience is smoother. When you come to the event, generally we have open warm up courts across the board. My experience when I was playing PP, I remember flying all the way to Utah, and they put us in a convention center, and there were 50 something rollout courts, and two of the big takeaways from that were, for one, I flew all the way to Utah and I couldn't get a warm up court. I mean, I was there for hours just running around. Me and I was with Kenta Mayoshi that day, who is now signed and he's awesome. But Kenta and I were like, we'd run to court 7 along with 15 other players, and then we'd try to
Right,
hit for like 90 seconds before
right.
another. And then we'd run to court 11 and then try to, and it was just miserable. And then once we got on the court for our match, I still have videos. The rollout surface, aside from, and this is huge too, a lot of players in the UPA have complained about how this is conducive to injury. This is not good for players. But even just the actual like playing surface is
yeah.
horrific. Like
Yeah.
there's so many dead spots where the ball will just stop and die. I
Yep.
remember we had we came on the positive end of it once, but I had a big serve and it just and we got a free point. And then later in the match, somebody on the other team hit a dink middle and it just stopped and never came up. And that was just what it was. And so I think this is just part of so many decisions that the UPA makes that just are can I cuss on this?
Absolutely.
They
Go
don't
100%.
for
give
it.
they just don't give a fuck about the players. I mean, they
Right,
don't care at all. They just want to do what's best for them.
right.
And again, I understand there's a lot of financial realities. I understand that they're trying to build a business, and it is what it is. But I think every part of that experience was something that we wanted to do better. For us, it was, we're never going to play on rollout courts. We're never going to play on taped lines. Both tours are still doing this.
And all
And
your tournaments are indoors.
the vast majority. So we were outdoors this weekend in LA because it's LA. It's
Right.
Yeah.
in South Florida where we'll occasionally be out. Though we were outdoors at the USOP in Naples, which is a tremendous facility. But that's another one, right? We have a company policy of no rainouts. We've had 62 events. We've never been rained out once. We've never had a
Wow.
start time delayed due to rain, and that's because we refuse to host outdoors. without a covered option. The only time we've ever done it was at USOP in Naples. And we picked the timing very intentionally. We worked with them to make sure. And so there's just so many steps along the way where it's trying to really put yourself in the player's shoes and say, would I be pissed if I drove 6 hours and then got rained out? Yeah, I would be. So let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. Well, I remember a friend of mine and his wife traveled all the way to Texas for a tournament, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't think I didn't even know it snows in Texas, but apparently it snowed that weekend, and they flew all the way there. They were in two draws, so they were able to play in another one, but their other draw
Yeah.
got canceled. Can you imagine spending
Sucks.
all that money? So I think
Yeah.
that's super smart. You really have you're putting yourself in the shoes of a player.
Yeah.
And I think that's really
Yeah.
smart. And I gotta say, like Tosh, I don't know about you, but I have like major FOMO when it comes to brick wall because um I don't people all around me, brick wall tournaments. And then I'm trying, there's a tournament up in New England and I'm trying to
Yeah.
find a partner for it. And so I'm
Sure.
emailing, texting all these people, and they're like, no,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm playing in a brick wall tournament. I'm like, damn,
Awesome.
curses. So I'm curious to know, because I heard you talking on another podcast that you're, expanding to other regions. Right now,
Yeah.
it's sort of the mid-Atlantic region.
Sure.
You're expanding. Are you ever coming to New England? Because it is kind of far. Baltimore's your closest one to where we are.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to travel that far. Are you ever going to expand? And I know you have to go to like the regions where kind of the most top players are. But what's your plan for expansion? And tell us also about the format of how a brick wall tournament works.
Yeah. So I mean, expansion. We just launched our Pacific region based in SoCal this past weekend. We're really excited to build it up from the ground
Congrats.
up. Thank you
Congrats
so
on that.
much.
Yeah.
We'll be launching in Texas pretty soon here. We're still trying to figure out the logistics there. As far as the Northeast region, it's something that a lot of players have asked about. It's hard. It's actually not necessarily where are all the top players. Baltimore, there's a lot of great players, but I don't know that anyone would necessarily say that's where the most great players are in the Mid-Atlantic Northeast.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a call that I can
Oh.
Oh, you,
decline.
you should answer and we'll say
Yeah,
hello.
just tell him to come on the pod. Maybe
Um,
it's the CEO, maybe it's Tom Dundon, maybe it's Ken Herman. We could just
Oh, Tito
put him
Machado.
on.
Tito's awesome.
Yeah.
Tito's great. No, anyway, so the Northeast, it's hard because it's not necessarily about where are the best players. It's oh my gosh.
He's
Megan.
Jesus. What
Gee,
does
you're a
he want?
popular guy.
Yeah.
For
I
for
don't get any
whatever it's
calls when I'm
worth,
on the
Tito,
podcast.
stop calling.
for whatever it's worth, I have my phone on do not disturb, but I have it so that if you call 3 times, it makes it through.
I hope it's not an emergency. Dear
So
God.
it's not a number I have saved. So
Okay.
Fun.
anyway, we'll get to that in a half hour. So sorry about that.
That's all right.
No, we want to pick cities where we can access the most amount of people within, say a couple of hours. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm like wondering if like your house burned down or something.
I mean,
I mean,
don't
you
live
are in LA.
Boca.
The whole Palisades burned down. Hopefully not.
I'm so sorry. Like I said,
no, don't worry. One time when we were on a podcast and my son walked by as he was taking a shower in my bathroom, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, so
that's right. He wasn't naked, Tosh, was he?
no, he had a towel around him.
Oh, okay. Phew.
I will
I mean, sometimes we do get a little bit X-rated here, but
we temporarily blocked them, so hopefully that
Okay.
doesn't keep
Okay,
making it
great.
there. Sorry
Okay.
about
okay.
that. Where was I?
You-
The regions. Why yeah. So we want to give the most amount of players within a couple of hours access, and so Baltimore was chosen largely because from Baltimore, within a couple of hours, you have DC, Nova, Richmond, Philly, New Jersey, New York. We're pulling from Ohio now, the Carolinas, New England. And so if you draw this big map and if you make circles as to like where are all the hubs in the Mid-Atlantic Northeast, Baltimore is not necessarily one of the top ones, but it's in the middle of all of those circles. And so that it's really hard for us to leave Baltimore when we've had so much success there. I'm empathetic to the frustration of, the guys and gals driving all the way up from Charlotte and the ones driving all the way down from New England. I wouldn't rule out a future like regional redistricting, where say we move the Mid-Atlantic down to Richmond and then create some separation and then move up to New York, Boston.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be imminent. I don't know that we have um, the time or the energy to
Yeah.
restructure such a successful region right now. But it's something that's on the mind. I don't know what the final number of regions is in the future. I think we're gonna stay pat at 6 once we launch Texas. But I don't know what that might evolve into over the years.
Hmm.
I'm
Cool.
curious, just from a business standpoint, super impressed with everything you've done. I've gone on your website, like everything that you're saying here too. So like nicely thought out. It's always so refreshing to hear an owner, an entrepreneur with so much thought and compassion and empathy for the end user.
Yeah.
And but
Thank you.
but my question is, how many employees do you have? Like, and how many did you start with, and how many do you have now?
That's a great question. I mean, fundamentally at its core, it's me and my partner Mariah. But from there, we have a great team of people who are huge contributors to Brickwall. If you want to go back to the start, it was just me. I mean, for the
Amazing.
first 6 7 months, it was just me, an iPhone. I've never
Yeah.
had a computer and a lot of effort just trying to will
Awesome.
this into existence. And then over time, my girlfriend Mariah just started helping more and more, and she's brilliant, and brings so much to the table that she just kind of, through her desire to support me, got very integrated to the point where going into this, just this year, really, we said, okay, let's make this full time and let's have you and I work on this together as a partnership. And so just a few months ago in January, she's now full time with Brickwall. But then there's also a tremendous team of event operators who,
Mhm.
Brickwall wouldn't be a reality with, our next, not next weekend, but the one after, we're in 3 cities at once. We're in Atlanta, Chicago, and Fort Myers. And so there has to be a great team of people who can run events the Brickwall way.
Yeah.
And so we have Enzo, who was the very first one in South Florida. He was just volunteering, same thing, just helping us out because he liked me, he liked what we were about, and now he's running our events in Florida, and Rhea in Atlanta, and Jeff in the Mid Atlantic, and Jason in Chicago. Like there's so many great people who have helped make this a reality. On the tech side, we have had a kind of a revolving door of tremendous web designers and programmers who are so much smarter than I am. But they all, because they're so smart, keep getting these great startup jobs. And then so we get a new one.
Is
Yeah.
the
And
idea,
so
Cody, is it because like I've been to the website and I always want to see the matches that are being played.
yeah, yeah.
Is there any future in terms of live streaming your events?
Um, so we have the live bracket now. So you can
Oh,
follow the bracket once it's live.
well, you can follow the bracket, but like actually watching
Actually
the,
watching,
yeah.
yeah, it's something. It's kind of a catch-22. We really really want to do it. It makes no sense from a business POV. It's every time the PPA, the APP stream, they're lighting money on fire.
Oh,
They're lighting money on fire with this long-term commitment to, I think for one, it's to attract sponsors, it's to please their existing sponsors, and
Mhm.
ultimately it's a preparation and a pitch to land that major TV deal that
Mhm.
Connor and Ken are chasing,
right,
which again makes sense for them. It
Yeah.
right.
doesn't make sense for us. The
So
lion,
how do you guys make money?
um,
Through the registration fees, or like maybe you're not quite profitable yet, but obviously the goal is to be profitable at some point, right?
sure, yeah. I mean, the goal is to build a system where we're not monetizing off of players or spectators,
Mhm.
and so ultimately that comes to sponsorship.
Got it.
Eventually maybe TV revenue,
You have
and
great sponsors now.
yeah, we have Warping Point, who's tremendous. They just released their Sofon paddle, which is fantastic. And we have Duper, who's been an incredible one of our earliest
Yeah.
partners.
Yeah.
And Tito and Mortada and the team at Duper are fantastic. That's about it. I mean, we have a partnership with Pickleball Instruments to create on-site paddle testing at all of our events, which again, fantastic. We're the only other. I think it's really just the PPA and the APP and us that have on-site paddle testing for all pro events.
Okay.
But we don't have a ton of financial support from any sponsors. And so for us, it's just being really, really intelligent with every single dollar. And ultimately, what that usually comes down to is we have this like core philosophy of the dollar is better in the player's hands than it is ours, whether it's them saving that dollar on cost or that dollar going back into the payout. And so we've really tried very obviously there's costs. You have to pay the venue. I have to get to the venue. But other than that, we try to funnel every single dollar back into the payout.
Mhm.
Long term, both the PP and the APP are going to do seven figures, 8 figures in sponsorship revenue this year. So ultimately, the idea is to take some of that pie. If we can create 7, 8 figures of sponsorship revenue, then
Yeah.
we can drastically improve the payout. Not that it's not great now, but we want to
Right.
be in the millions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Wow. I'll say
hopefully,
I'll add to date because I was on your website. You
yeah,
have paid out $122,400.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Thank
And
you.
what is the like what is the exact format of, because again, one of the frustrations that I've had,
Sure,
I've played in some APP pro qualifiers
sure.
and some PPA challengers. Actually really like the PPA challenger because
Yeah,
challenger events, because you're actually guaranteed like at least two matches.
sure.
But like the APPs I've played in where it's like one game to 15 and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
I've just had some horrible experiences where I was like, I don't think I would ever go back. It's like the APP just taking my money
yeah.
um, to give to the eventual people who are going to win the tournament, right? Like
Sure.
they're
Right.
not doing anything for me. I get like
Yeah,
a game to 15.
yeah.
So what is the format that you guys have settled on? And have you ever thought about, like PPA challengers, APPs, PPA tournaments, they're for all levels. Have you thought about expanding to all levels and doing payouts for all levels? Because I think, anybody at any level loves
Yeah.
the idea of competing and winning money.
Yeah. Yeah. Two great questions. So I'll touch on the format side, and your experience was exactly my experience. I played both tours qualifiers, and I went, and maybe this is partly on me for not being good enough to keep winning, but same experience. Both tours, I lost first round of a quali and was done. And I went, I don't know if this was worth the $600. And
And the
so,
$1,000 to stay overnight in the
and
hotels
to
and the
get over, yeah.
travel. Yeah.
And so our format is generally as a foundation, it's going to be X number pools of four. So, if we have, say, 32 teams, which is starting to become our standard bench draw, then we'll have 8 pools of 4. You'll play everybody in your pool, one game into 11. And then everyone gets seeded all together, 1 through 32. And then at that point, it's essentially half of a March Madness bracket. And so one plays 32 and two plays. If the draw is large, then it's best of 15s from the start. If the draw is smaller, then we extend the 2 out of 3s earlier and earlier. But it's always guaranteed 4 game minimum, no
That's
matter what.
amazing.
Um,
Amazing.
and so I think that has been a huge draw for a lot of the, say, 4.75 to even up to 5.5 players who are coming into it knowing that, you might get hot, but you're probably not going to take down Juan Verone, who keeps winning in the Southeast. You're probably not going to take down Richard Livernese. But no matter what, I'm going to get out of here with 4 games against
Yeah.
4 great opponents.
Yeah.
The results are going to go into Duper, and I'm going to have a chance to really gain this professional experience, not just come in shell shocked, get kicked out, and be done.
Right. Yeah. That's
I want to
amazing.
go I want to go back to accessibility because again on your website it's your mission to build the future of professional pickleball. And there are around three core ideals. One is accessibility, the
Yeah,
second is opportunity, and the third is meritocracy.
yeah,
And we were talking a little bit earlier, and we were mentioning how it is the accessibility is tough currently
yeah,
on the APP and PPA tour. I even saw a post this morning from Universe where Samantha Parker was saying
yeah,
how difficult it is for her, and she is managing a full-time job where she just isn't finding enough time. She's making it work, but she's not finding
yeah,
enough time to be able to practice even during the week because she works
yeah,
full-time. So these big tours have faced criticism around affordability, around
yeah.
accessibility. Where do you see the pro pickleball landscape in about 5 years, 3 to 5 years, and what role does Brickwall play in shaping it?
I would like to see Brickwall end up at the top of the totem pole in 3 to 5 years, and then from there, you're guaranteed an accessible pro system. there's quite literally dozens of professional systems in pickleball worldwide right now. I think some are more accessible than others. I'm hoping that through organizations like Brickwall, even through, say, local money balls, through facilities that just have a great competitive community that essentially function as a competitor to the PPA, to the APP, to the large tours all over the world, that their hand will kind of be forced. I do really see, you've seen pro qualifiers become significantly less popular over time. I mean, the APP just pulled them. The APP doesn't have qualifiers anymore.
Okay.
And the
Oh, I did not
PPA,
know that.
which opens up another set of issues. But nonetheless, I do think that as Brickwall continues to grow, I think that the hand will kind of be forced. I think that the PPA will have to choose between their current aggressive monetization of every player that comes in through their door, or they're going to continue to lose players to Brickwall as they have. And so, I don't know what that looks like in 3 to 5 years. I'd like I know where we want to be in 3 to 5 years. And I think that vision encompasses a large amount of the pickleball playing world and gives them an accessible option to pursue pro pickleball.
Do you see the APP and the PPA ever merging or becoming one entity?
No, not at all.
And
Not at
do
all.
you do you have any interest in sitting down and having a conversation about that with the two of them?
I've had these conversations with both of them.
Okay.
I will say that I've been much more willing to work with one than the other because
Yeah.
I think one is. I think one of them we have disagreements on how things should go, and the other there's just a fundamental opposition as to what pickleball should be about.
Mm.
And so that being said, I don't think there's any chance that they would merge. I don't think that there's a lot of love lost between either. I don't think that the UPA has shown any coherent history of liking to play nice in the sandbox. And again, I always like to acknowledge I understand that they have financial realities, they have investors, and they have their commitments. But at the end of the day, they have no real track record of partnership. It's acquisition. And so I think it's very unlikely that they would that either of those two entities would have any interest in working with the other. I've talked with Ken now a couple of times. I think he is much more genuine about his passion for pickleball and passion for building something. That doesn't change the disagreements I have with the APP, but I like Ken. And so I see more of a pathway to evolution there.
Do you so I know you're focused on pro pickleball, and I had asked the question before, but
sorry, yes.
no, because I always do this, Tosh. Like I always ask like 2 and 3 part questions, and then, by the time they answer the first part, they forget the second and third question. So, but I'm curious, like, do you have any interest in expanding to other levels and doing payouts at other levels? Because I feel like that could add like a whole other, I don't know, sense of fun and competitiveness for, 4.5 and below levels.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are going to do like one amateur event this year in Baltimore in July that I'm really excited. We did one last year and we hosted 37 tournaments last year and one wasn't it. So we're not super public about it because it's not, and this kind of answer is the meat of my answer, which is it's not our core focus. It's something that I think we can do it really well. I think that it would be really fun to do. I think at some point soon, it's probably going to become a logical business step.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I think what has driven Brickwall from the very beginning is I have such a passion for what this is, for building what we're building, and I have such a rage at why we're built, like what the reason is. And I just don't have that same rage towards the world of amateur pickleball and how it's being run. I think that, again, I think we could do it well. I think we could create a tremendous tournament experience for the amateur level, and we intend to in July. But at the end of the day, I think that if you're a 3-5, you have a ton of great competitive outlets. There's a ton of awesome facilities. In the Mid Atlantic, it's Dildinkers and Bounce are hosting tons of great events. Almost every night of the week. In South
Yeah.
Florida, it's a lot of the community clubs that people live in. That they're like domestic head pro is running kings and queens and in-house tournaments. Like there's so many awesome competitive outlets if you're a 3-0, 3-5, 4-0 player. And
Right.
I'd like to think we could do it even better, but it's not as urgent of a need. I think pros are getting fucked like
Right.
every
Right.
step of the way, and so
Right.
that's something that we want to um, push all of our attention into.
Yeah.
And then if and when we have the time, energy, and resources to build a more comprehensive amateur system, we definitely like to.
Got it. Tosh, I have a couple more questions because I know we're running out of time, but quickly, you're out there running these tournaments, talking to a ton of players,
Sure.
having conversations, probably more so than me and Tosh. Can you tell us why there are, because I know your pro draws always fill up for men's
Yeah.
and they fill up pretty well for mixed. For
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
women's, I know they do fairly well, but
Sure.
I feel like in every region of the country for like a
Yeah.
4.5 plus tournament, we're both 5.0 plus players.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not senior pro yet, but I'm close. But for like any of the open women's draws,
Yeah.
it's like half of them are canceled, or you only get like four teams.
Yeah.
What do you think that is? Why are there so many more male 4.5 plus players than there are female four? I've been racking my brain trying to figure it out. I have my
Yeah.
theories and thoughts, but I'm curious to hear what you think.
Um, I don't think that I'm qualified enough to make a gender analysis as to why there's more of men than women at the 4-5 plus level, but I will say that it is an overwhelming reality. I think more so than people realize.
Yeah.
Like even when we just launched in the Midwest and the Southeast, the women's in the mix, we had the men's go. We started with the men's, and then as soon as we could, we added in women's and mixed. And we had a list of all the top 50 players in the like 6 surrounding states of where we host in Illinois. And the list of the top 50 women in like Minnesota, it was like by number 7, you were sub 5-0. And by number 15, you were sub 4-5. And
Yeah.
even by the time we got to the third, I mean, we were DMing 4-1s and 4-2s saying, hey, if you're interested, we're here.
Right.
It's such a, there's not a lot of you. I mean, there's
Right.
just not, it's so far fewer.
Right.
And then from there, one of the issues that we're running into is the unfortunate reality is, when we are going through and let's say there's 8 5-0 pluses in South Carolina on the women's side, like 4 of them are signed.
Right.
And so they're taken out. And so I think that the UPA has the same problem that we have and the same problem that your local tournament director has. There's just not enough 5-0 plus women.
Yeah.
And so we're all facing the same issue all the way up to the UPA, but the UPA is signing them. And so they're taking half of what's actually on the table out of the ecosystem. And so I
Yeah.
think that has really hurt us is that ultimately our target market is professional players. And if half of the target market is being signed away, it makes it tough.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic that over time, more and more players will turn down those contracts, and it will help our women's ecosystem grow more so than the men's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, no, no. I think that, I mean, those are all great points. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, I would, it's like a uh anthropological, I guess, I don't know, or a sociological question about why there
Yeah.
are more 4.5 men than there are women out there. And I think I get like at a certain age,
Yeah.
maybe 30 plus, 40 plus, women are starting to have children,
Yeah.
and there's more family responsibilities and things going on. But I don't know, Tosh, do you have any? Yeah, go ahead, Cody.
I'll add one more thing that I think is again not from the woman's POV, but from the knowing this side of the table. I think it's a negative feedback loop as well that we're working really hard to improve upon. Where because it's so hard to get a women's draw, a lot of tournaments just don't bother.
Right.
A lot of tournaments will cancel them early. And the reality is there's no money. We lose money we'll lose tens of thousands of dollars on the women's division on the year. I
Mm,
think that's worth it because if we're going to be an accessible, equitable system, we have to have men's, women's, and mixed. We have so many incredible women who I love to watch play. Like
Right,
it's a core part of our system, but the financial reality is still we're going to lose a lot of money on it.
right.
And we're willing to eat that because we want to build what we're going to build. But if you're a local tournament director in the Midwest, like why would you eat cost on running a women's event? There's no money in putting this event together. And so the negative feedback loop then becomes because there's less events, there's less opportunity for say 3-8, 4-0, 4-2 women to, experiment and dip their toe in the water. And you create less competitive opportunities for 4-5, 4-7, 5-5-0 women who then oftentimes get kind of bored with the competitive scene. Like they almost pull out. And we've seen a number of women for whom this has happened. And so I think that I won't look at the sociological POV, but I do think right now pickleball has kind of a negative feedback loop that is preventing and limiting the growth of women's pickleball.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to see it change. We're working really hard on it. Even if you look at like the core of like so many players who, when they're making their personal evolution from 4-0 to 5-0, they're playing
mhm.
money balls all the time. They're playing like a Tuesday night money ball. They're playing a Friday night money. And I've seen, I can probably count on one hand how many like true women's money balls I've seen in 18 months of flying around the country
Yeah.
and running tournaments. And so that again creates less opportunity for women on the most local level, which
Right.
then makes it harder for those women to evolve to a level where they want to play Brickwall, where they want to play the PPA. So
Right. I'm just
I think
like,
it
come on,
starts.
ladies. Like, I want
Yeah,
the ladies out there to like drill more, practice more. Come on, like get to that
yeah,
4.5 level. And then maybe just don't be so timid. Like I do know like I have talked to a couple and like, oh, I don't know if I want to enter, like I'm not good enough or I'm not, I'm not there yet. And they're just like enter the tournament. Just do it. Like we need more women, female representation in these
yeah.
4.5 plus tournaments. Like, come
I
on.
agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. All right,
So
Tasha,
I
anything
wanted to,
else?
yeah, I wanted to end on community and entrepreneurship because I think we've gone through a lot of really good topics throughout our conversation. But on the entrepreneur side, so when Neely and I started this podcast, we believe in the premise that it's never too late to start something new.
Sure.
And I wanted to know from your perspective, because, doesn't matter your age, we're
Yeah.
always, I don't want to overuse the word reinventing, but we're always unfolding and we're always coming into something new. And like Neely was just saying, for women, especially to, try something new, just go for that tournament, just sign up.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone who just needs to hear something that gets them over the edge and just helps them do something that they really want to try but are too afraid to?
Um, it's a great question. It's a really good question.
Thank-
For me, it's never I've always been happy with going for it. I've never regretted it.
Mm,
I've never looked at a tough situation and gone for it and said, I wish I hadn't put myself out there. I wish I hadn't I mean, I think for me from the very beginning from baseball, like I thought a lot about maybe this is my answer. Like I thought a lot about like when I put away my cleats, when I put down my glove, like the thought of feeling like I didn't try everything that was there was so miserable. And I just knew that I wanted to get to the point where if and when I have to put down my cleats, I will know that I did absolutely everything in my power to make that happen. And so now, don't get me wrong, I mean, I still miss playing baseball, but like, I don't feel like I left any stone unturned. I drove all over the country. I would break into stadiums all over the country and like knock on the GM's door and demand a meeting. And it was a little bit crazy and I was a little bit nervous being 19 years old, showing up in a new state and trespassing. But I knew that when I got in my car on the way out, I would know that I like this. They know I exist. They know I want to play, and I did everything I could.
Right.
And so I think coming all the way back down to a 4-5, thinking about playing a 5-0 tournament, or even a 3-0, thinking about playing their first tournament. It's just I've never seen anyone regret trying. I've never seen anyone regret saying, "Oh, I just got killed. I wish I didn't even." I think at worst case, it's a learning experience, and it's so much fun. I mean, I think everyone else has been where you have. Everyone at every level has gotten annihilated by someone at the level above them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't. I
Yeah,
don't think I have a good cohesive answer to this, but I am really passionate about just going for it and trying it. And it's almost always going to turn out better than you think, and you're going to enjoy it. You're going to meet people. Um, I just love it.
it's a great, no,
What what
that's a
I'm
great
what I'm
answer.
hearing what I'm hearing is that there might be some kind of like being comfortable with being uncomfortable,
Sure.
being okay with failing,
Yeah.
that is tough.
Yeah.
And also really worth all the learning that happens along the way. Kind of like that saying, it's not about getting to your destination, it's about the
The
journey,
journey.
right?
Yeah.
And everything that occurs between point A and point B or wherever you're headed.
Absolutely.
That really is meaningful. And then my
Absolutely.
last question I wanted to end on community. What makes the pickleball community so unique in your point of view?
I think the pickleball community is so joyous. I think it's so diverse, and everyone I think comes into it with a joy to be back on the court, to be back competing, to be back being social. Whether I think when I started teaching, I think my most like common archetype of student when I started teaching pickleball was uh, parent whose kid just went off to college, and the parent used to play a sport in high school or college, and this is their first competitive outlet in 20, 25 years.
Mm.
And I think there's millions of those. I think there's millions of players who pickleball is their first sport and they're so excited to be part of something new. There's millions of players who tried really hard to play high school, college, professional tennis, baseball, basketball, volleyball, and they kind of gave that up, that part of themselves, and now they're back. And so
Mm,
I think just across the board, I think you just see so much joy at the local courts, and then I think that joy fosters such community, which then fosters more joy, and it's a positive feedback loop. I think everyone's so happy to be there. Everyone's so welcoming and positive. It's really it's like no other sport that I've seen in that way.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like you're really trying to bring it back full circle from that utopia that it once was, right? That
We're
we all
trying.
fell in love with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well,
Okay,
Cody,
ready?
we are going to lead you out here with something we do for all our guests, kind of a little rapid fire
Sure.
situation. Gosh,
Fabulous.
we got to come up with a better name for this than rapid fire. Like,
I know I've heard other podcasts do
I
rapid fire.
know, like
I'm like, I thought that was
no,
ours.
no, no. Just we're just like everyone else, I guess. No,
Yeah.
but we got to come up with a better name. So, all right, just some quick questions, and you just spit out your answer.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your pickleball pet peeve?
I have a lot.
You
um,
could choose your most peevest.
the first one that comes to mind is hindrances and distraction calls. They drive me nuts. We've more or less like outlawed them. It's just not a sport background that I come from, and so I like just playing it out.
What
And
can they blow the ball over the net? Is that allowed at Brickwall? Yeah.
as long as you don't make contact, yeah. As
Okay.
long as you
All
don't
right.
make contact.
Okay. What's the most pickleball player thing about you?
I think the way I walk after competing, that like slow waddle to the car.
Totally, totally. Have you ever looked up your duper more than once in a day?
Back in the day, for sure, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Be honest. Have you ever stalked a tournament bracket before it started?
Stalked meaning like tried to find out who I'm going to play, and
Yeah. Like,
oh, absolutely, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Drill for 2 hours or open play for 4?
Drill for 2 hours for
Okay.
sure.
Win a gold medal or gain 1,000 followers?
Uh, I want to win a brick wall medal so bad, you have no idea.
Okay. All right. Never miss a third shot drop or never lose a hands battle.
Mm, I think um, I think IRL, like if I had to pick, I think the competitive advantage from never missing a drop would be overpowered. But I have such a pride in hands battles that the ego in me might choose that.
Okay. Who scares you more, the banger or the dinker? The good dinker.
Um, I think a banger. I don't move that well vertically, so if you have a big serve and a big drive, it makes me a bit uncomfortable.
Okay. Just don't ever play against Shy Hugo. Who's tougher to beat, the athlete or the strategist?
Athlete for me.
Okay. Which player are you, the grinder, the gunslinger, or the chess player?
Um, I got to think about what those archetypes mean. Probably the chess player, I'd like to think.
Oh, okay. All right. Who is the biggest trash talker or chirper in brick wall tourneys?
Neil Metarada,
Oh, okay.
unquestionably. Do
Oh,
you know
really?
Neil Metarada?
I've heard the name, but now I'm
He
gonna
is
look out for it.
he is absolute television. I think Garrison Eby comes to mind too, if
Okay,
you know
I've played
Garrison.
against him. Yep, I could see that.
The slight distinction is Garrison is a little bit more on his side of the net. It's yeah, come on, let's
Yeah,
but it's less. It's typically less at the opponent. Neil's
right.
talking to his opponent. Neil is making fun of him the whole way.
You know what's funny, and
Wow.
it's such a contrast between males and females is like men could fucking trash talk, like scream their bloody lungs out, and
Yeah,
then off the court, 5 minutes later, hey dude, like good match.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
women do that to each other. I mean, we're holding grudges for like
yeah.
years. It's just a
I've seen some
completely.
guys hold grudges.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I agree with you though. I think again, I won't draw the gender distinction, but I love it's one of my favorite things watching a like really loud, yelly match, and then
Yes.
people are everyone crowds, and then like you see them like hug after the match. Like it really is cool to see like how competitive people get and can still have so much respect for their opponent. And that's
Yeah.
something I really like about Garrison. I like about Neil is like as much as they are crazy loud and aggressive and chirpy, like they're so nice and they're so respectful. And it's always love between them and the opponents after the match.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Couple more. Most overrated shot. Hmm. I should play the Jeopardy theme
Yeah,
song.
that's a
Yes.
real most overrated shot.
Or well, what about the most underrated shot? I feel like maybe that's easier.
Those are both
Ye-
really good questions.
Yeah, yeah, you still haven't thinking about the first one, Neely.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you got me. That's a really good question.
All right. Well, you know what, Cody? You're gonna have to get back to us on that.
I will have to come back to you on
Okay.
that.
All right.
I have two quick ones. Finish this sentence. The future of pickleball tournaments is
Brick wall.
yes.
Yeah.
And what does a normal Tuesday look like for you, Cody Sivan?
I wake up and then I work until I like can't look at my phone anymore, and then I try to go work out and move my body and stay in shape, and then I come back and work until I can't look at my phone anymore, and then I hang out with my girlfriend and my partner Mariah, which is the highlight of my day, and then I usually work until I fall asleep.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
Awesome.
I gotta say, you got a real buzz going, and I am just praying for Brickwall to come up to the New England area, Northeast area. Um,
Absolutely.
Me too. I'm in. I'm
yeah.
in.
Well, we'll definitely be signing up, and who knows, maybe I'll make the trip down to Baltimore one of these days.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate your time. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
this
This
has
was so
been
much
great.
fun.
Thank you.
That's
Good luck
all
to
for
you.
today's episode of The Real Housewives of Pickleball. Cody's story is a good reminder that the best things in this sport aren't always happening on the biggest stages. Sometimes they're being quietly built from the ground up by someone who just refused to accept that it couldn't be done differently. If his vision for what pro pickleball could look like resonates with you, go check out Brickwall at brickwallpickleball.com. And if today's conversation sparks something for you, share it with someone in your pickleball circle. These are the kinds of conversations worth having. Until next time, thank you for listening.
Bye, Cody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you so
Cody.
much. Thank you.